Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're bringing you our top 20 in 20 minutes most played games of all time. Now I do want to mention our sponsor before we get started here, that is Board Game Co. They are a fantastic website where you can go and buy, sell, and trade games over there. Alex is a really good guy. He's got a really good things going over there. Like I said, you can buy games, you can sell games, both those things. You can find that in a number of places on the web. You also can trade games over there, and the system they've got set up for trading is unique from what I've seen on the web. They have a value system that lets you know clearly ahead of time before you even propose a trade how much the Board Game Co. is going to value that particular game and what they're willing to trade for it. They can link right into your Board Game Geek account so they can see anything. If you go on Board Game Geek and you click, okay, this game, and this game are for trade, because you can trade games with other gamers on Board Game Geek. Well, Board Game Co. will look at the games that you have for trade. You put in your username, it populates a list of which ones of those games they're looking to acquire and which ones of their games that you have set up on Board Game Geek as wanted through trade. They'll show you which ones they have of those, and so then that makes it real easy for you to set up a trade like that. So that's Board Game Co. They're a great place to buy, sell, and trade your way into a better collection. Now, also, before we get started, I do want to mention that we've got a giveaway going on. In this medium flat rate box are 9 games. Now, what games are they? Well, that's part of the surprise. You're not going to find out until this shows up on your doorstep. But they're games, and they're games of varying fun, varying quality, and varying number of boxes, meaning that some of these games, when I had them, I threw away the boxes and kept them in picture photograph boxes, and that way you could carry all of them. I had this whole setup where I had a whole bunch of games I could carry around like a suitcase. So you might be missing a few boxes. Some of them have boxes, some of them don't. Some of them are really, really good games, and some of them are definitely not. But there's 9 of them in here, and you're going to get to have them. What this is that I have decided that I have reached a point where I am not playing games for more than a year at a time. And so I'm going to, every year from this point forward, figure out all the games I didn't play that I own over the past year, and 30% of those games I'm going to give away. Well, 30% of those games I'm going to get rid of. This time, 9 of them ended up being given away. The rest I'm trying to trade on Board Game Geek or however other way that I can. So, enter the contest. There is a link in the description below for how you could enter the contest, and this will be going for about a month. I'll put the end date here on the lower third and in the description. So get in there. All kinds of ways you can enter. Lots of fun, and like I said, there are at least a couple of really good games in there. There's several good games and 1 or 2 probably really bad games in that box. So it should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's get to the list now. Our top 20 in 20 minutes most played games of all time. This is the individual plays list. We did the hours played back in we did it in December. We actually published it in December. However, the list was from November. And so today we're doing the individual plays. Obviously, you're going to see some games on both lists because I've played a game many hours doesn't mean I haven't also played it multiple times, but vice versa, or those aren't mutually exclusive, I guess I should say, because some games have lots of hours, but because their individual plays are 3 hours long. So that will definitely make it fall a little bit on this individual plays list. So we're going to get right to it and see where we begin. And as usual, we're doing 20 games, so we've got 20 minutes to complete this list, starting now. Okay, so number 20 is Hive. This is a small little game. The version I have comes in a bag. It has a bunch of different tiles in there. Each tile has a different bug on it. Each player has the same number of each type of bug. The goal is to capture the other player's queen bee. There is no board. As you set the game up, you start off with just a couple tiles on the board, and as you play the game, you put more of the ceramic tiles out, and each bug moves in a certain way, and your goal is to try to surround the other player's queen bee, and you kind of build the board as you're playing, except even you're not really building a board because there is no board. The bugs themselves are the entire play space, and as you're playing, it has this really cool aesthetic to it. The ceramic pieces have this nice clacking sound. It's very, very durable. You can take it to the beach, take it, anywhere that you've got just enough. You probably need about this much space, like 2 feet by 2 feet, and they'll have plenty of space to play Hive. Number 19 is King Domino. This is a game where, technically speaking, every piece is a domino. It has 2 different sides where, like a normal domino has 2 different numbers on it. Well, in this case, the sides are split up into terrain. So you have like fields and water and swamp and mines, forest and farmland, I think, are all the different versions. And you need to, when you place a tile, it either needs to touch the center piece, which is a single piece, like a single square, or the domino needs to touch a terrain, at least one terrain that is already played. And you get more and more points for, if you have 10 of one terrain together, and each of those terrains may or may not have a crown on it. So let's say that 10 terrain area has 3 crowns. So that's going to be 30 points right there. And at the end of getting a 5x5 grid set up, whoever has the most points wins the game. That's King Domino. Terra in Meeple City with 19 plays. King Domino had 18 plays, by the way. Terra in Meeple City has 19 plays. This one is one that was not ranked on the hours played. It is a game where it's a 3D game, meaning that you actually have these buildings that get set up, but the buildings are held up by meeples. You are like Godzilla-style monsters, and you flick your monster's feet to figure out where they go, but then you can drop the monster itself on buildings. Meeples go flying everywhere. You get points by eating the meeples, and you have this little player shield, and so there's certain rules for how you eat the meeples, but when you eat them, you put them behind the player shield to symbolize they're in your stomach. You also have a certain number of teeth that determine how many meeples you can eat every turn, and you're fighting against the other monsters. You can attack the other monsters. You have special abilities. You have, as I'm talking about this, I haven't played this game in quite a while, and I'm getting excited thinking about it. I need to pull this back out. I think that my oldest could really appreciate this game now. It was a little bit much for her when we originally got it. That's Terra Meeple City. Number 17 is Forbidden Island, also not ranked. These first 4 games, none of them were on my hours played, but they are all on the individual plays. Forbidden Island, number 20. Number 17 with 20 plays. This is from Matt Leacock. Kind of feels like Pandemic Light. I hear a lot of people describe it that way. You are running through this island trying to collect these valuable artifacts, because they belong in a museum. And you are working together, all the players are working together, but the island is sinking. And every time, whereas in Pandemic you draw the cards to decide where the diseases are going to go, in this one you're drawing cards to decide which parts of the island are going to sink next. And the first time a section is drawn, it flips over and it's flooded, but the next time a section is drawn, it's completely gone, just completely wiped off the map, and you can't recover it. And so you got to be careful before you drown. That's Forbidden Island. Number 16 is Mechs versus Minions. 22 plays. This is number 17 on the hours played list. Mechs versus Minions is a cooperative game. You're going to see a lot of cooperative games on here. Mechs versus Minions is a cooperative game where you are in the League of Legends universe. This is made by Riot Games. And you're controlling one of 4 Yordles in their mechs, fighting against literally 100 minions as you try to complete the objectives for all these different kinds of scenarios. And as you do this, it's a programming game, so you start off with a very simple program, maybe turn, move, shoot, something like that, and then as it goes along, that program stays in place for the game, and you keep building on it, and it gets more and more complex the point where hilarious things happen, and you know, hopefully you're able to figure it out correctly, but then a lot of times you don't, and then unintended consequences occur. That's Mechs versus Minions. Number 15 is Mage Knight. Now, here's a great example of how it could be a discrepancy between the two lists. 15 here with 23 plays, number 2 on the hours played list. All right, Mage Knight is a massive, well, it's a massive game in terms of the rule set and in terms of the strategy and in terms of the epic feel of it, and it does take up pretty good amount of table space. And you start off with a deck of cards. Technically, it's a deck builder, but the deck building is much slower and gradual in this game. And you're never going to completely change your deck while you're playing. And you go through you're this really massively powerful Mage Knight going through this land, and you are trying to find, in the main scenario, trying to find these 2 cities and conquer them. And as you go through the countryside, you're going to go up against all kinds of different enemies. I have 2 gameplays of this. You should check it out. It is just such a epic feeling strategy, mind-bending strategy. I would never play this with more than 2 people. And when I play with 2 people, I don't even play with the player versus player rules. It's not cooperative. We're still going against each other, but we don't fight each other. We only fight the land, and I feel like that's the better way to play it. That's Mage Knight, number 15. Number 14 is Imperial Assault with 24 plays. This is number 7 on the hours played list. I only play this with the app now. I only play this cooperatively. I don't play the 1 versus many version. I feel like 1 versus many has a runaway leader problem. The app version allows you to play cooperatively against the app, and the app version provides you with an sense of exploration as you are playing these minor characters in the Star Wars universe that occasionally you'll have some of the major characters, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, show up, but you never control them. They're kind of allies and enemies that you're just going to be fighting or playing with. And as you go through the campaign, that has lots of different stuff. I'll fall way behind here. It has lots of different stuff going on. You upgrade your characters. Some of your characters are force sensitives and can start kind of developing those force abilities. That's Imperial Assault. Number 13 is Seven Wonders Duel with 25 plays. This was 22, so just off the list of the hours played. This takes the idea of Seven Wonders, turns it into a viable 2-player game. I've never played the Seven Wonders, the original base game Seven Wonders, with 2 players. This game is also its own separate base game. This is not an expansion for Seven Wonders, and it is just 2 players. And you have like this pyramid of cards on the table. Half of them are face up, half of them are face down. To see the face down cards, you have to completely uncover them by working your way up the pyramid. And as you uncover them, those become available. So there's this real push and pull on, do I want to risk uncovering that? Because when it is uncovered, the next player is going to have first shot at it. And also, I highly recommend that if you play Seven Wonders, play it a couple times, see if you like it, but then get the expansion if you do like it. The expansion, if you like Seven Wonders Duel, is 100% worth getting. This Pantheon, I believe, is what the expansion is called. Number 12 is Gloomhaven, 27 plays. This was number 3 on the hours played list. Talk about massive games. Gloomhaven is an incredibly heavy box with an incredibly heavy rule set. And it's a cooperative game, but the combat is the most tactical combat I've ever played. You start off with your entire set of cards in your hand for your character. And then as you play through the rounds, you play 2 cards. This is going to determine the initiative value for you. One of them will determine the initiative value. Then after you determine the initiative value, you separate the cards out, and each card has a top and a bottom. You play the top for one card, the bottom for the other card, and then they go into your discard pile. Unless you use one of your really powerful abilities on those cards, which sometimes mean the card is gone for the rest of the game. And then you end up getting those cards back. Eventually, the monsters have their own initiatives. Fantastic game. I have a short review for it. Be sure to check that out, Gloomhaven. Number 11 is Friday, 28 plays, number 20 on the hours played list. So Friday is the first solo-only game I ever played. It is a deck-building game where you are Friday helping Robinson Crusoe trying to survive after he crash landed. Robinson Crusoe is a total moron, and I'm not even sure he's worth my help. But I go ahead and help him anyway. And you're working your way through the trials of the island. There's 3 different phases. The first phase is green, relatively easy trials. And then after you finish going through that deck, then you come back and you reshuffle that deck and you go through them again. But the cool thing is every time you defeat one of the trials, then it goes into your deck and becomes something good for you. And so the yellow phase, all those trials are harder. Red phase, obviously much harder. And then after you beat the red, if you beat the red phase, then you go and you fight pirates as the final part of the game. Number 10 is Magic Maze. 29 plays of this, not on my hours played list. Magic Maze is a cooperative, real-time game where you are these fantasy heroes who have just gotten their asses kicked in a dungeon, and now they've gone to the mall, like you do, and they've decided that, well, we're gonna put our hero status on hold for a minute. We are going to steal what we need from the mall to get back out there and start fighting. Maybe this is a Mordor mall, and so it's okay that they're stealing. I don't know. Anyway, Magic Maze, like I said, it's cooperative, but you can't talk. You can't talk while you're playing, and each player doesn't control a character, they control only a particular direction that you can move. And so lots of players can play this game. I forget what the maximum player count is, but you control a certain direction you can move and control certain features like I can control going up and down escalators, this person over here can control teleporting, that sort of thing. And you're trying to first steal all the items you need and then get to your respective exits. That's Magic Maze. Number 9, Love Letter Batman with 30 plays. Number 23 on the hours playlist. So let's see, Love Letter Batman is basically, first off, stupid name, but it is in the Love Letter series, which is a very successful series of games. It only has, I think, 13 cards in the entire game. Plays up to 4 players. Each player has a single card in their hand at any given time. On your turn, you draw 1 card from the deck, you choose which one you're going to play, and that's it. The person who has Joker, if the game ends and nobody has found Joker, that person is going to win. However, on the other hand, if someone makes you discard Joker at any point in the game, you immediately lose. So holding on to Joker is risky, even though having Joker will make you win at the end of the game. That's Love Letter Batman. Number 8 is Thunderstone Advance. This has 31 plays, number 4 on my hours played list. This was the follow-up to Thunderstone, which was a game that took what Dominion did and gave it more theme. The entire idea of this game is deck build. Well, I guess really the entire idea of this game is deck building. It does have the combat as well, but you're only gonna the deck building is central to this game. And as you're playing, you are going each turn. You either go to the village or you go to the dungeon. If you go to the village, you have this whole section of stuff that you can buy from. You can hire more heroes, you can buy weapons, buy magic, buy items, hire villagers, mercenaries, that sort of thing. Or you go to the dungeon, and the dungeon either has up here is you don't need to have any light because it's bright enough to where you can see what's going on. As you go deeper into the dungeon, and you don't have to fight your way deeper, you choose which level you're going to. As you get deeper, you have to have more and more light with you because it's so dark. Very interesting mechanic. I'm not sure I've seen that particular mechanic anywhere else in games, and I really like that. I do want to try Thunderstone Quest, but I have not had an opportunity to do that yet. Number 7 is Sushi Go with 35 plays, not on the hours played list. This is a really easy game to get into. My family loves this game. We actually haven't played this together in a while. We should pull this one out. Again, this is a drafting game. And so as you go around, you're drafting, you have a hand of cards, you put one down, you pass the rest of the cards to the next player, and then everybody reveals what card they have. And so that's the drafting portion. What you're trying to do in front of you is get sets. So, certain sets, at the end of the game, or at the end of the round, whoever has the most will get 6 points, second most 3 points, everybody else gets none. Or you have one where it doesn't matter what everybody else does. If you have 2 of these, you get a certain number of points. You have 3 of them, you have a certain number of points, that sort of thing. And then there's one even where each round you don't get points, but at the very end of the game, the person with the most gets 6, the person with the least gets -6 points. So pretty interesting, all the different things that happen in Sushi Go. Number 6 is Dead of Winter with 37 plays. Number 5 on the hours played list. This one has really started slowing down for me. I've just played it so much. But Dead of Winter is a semi-cooperative game. Well, it's semi-cooperative, Everybody has a main objective that must be completed for everyone to win the game, except for the trader, if there's a trader. Everybody also has a secret objective, including the trader. That's how he knows he's the trader, is because of a secret objective. And that must be completed in order for that individual person to win the game. So main objective, secret objective, zombies everywhere, but the real danger comes from the interactions with the players and trying to suss out, do we have a trader, do we not? One major complaint for the game is that sometimes the trader can play it straight the entire game until one massive turn. I think you can still really suss them out if you're really careful, really thinking about what's going on. I've only had one game where the trader went completely undetected the entire time. Pandemic Legacy, number 5. That is 39 plays, and this will never have any more plays again because this is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. This number 6 on my hours played list. I've played it 2 times. I've played the entire campaign twice. Once with my wife, loved it so much, got it from my game group, and we played it there. This is, it takes the Pandemic system. It was the first Legacy game after Risk Legacy, and this really showed what Legacy could do in my mind. It really showed how Legacy can have a cohesive story and how it can be compelling and really drive the tension home, make every decision you make feel like it is life or death, because it very well could be for your characters. That's Pandemic Legacy. Number 4 is Splendor with 51 plays, really getting up into the high numbers here now. 16 on the hours played list. This is probably, I don't know if Star Realms or Splendor is my wife's all-time favorite game, but one of those two is her favorite. And she absolutely loves this game. And, you know, we have, it is a game where you are building an engine. It's probably just about as pure an engine building game as you can get. I guess you'd call it an engine building game, because the whole idea is that you have this grid of cards that you're picking from, level 1, 2, and 3 cards. And you're trying to get prestige points, but before that you need to, because you have these gems that you can use to purchase things, but you can only have a certain number of gems in front of you, so you need to purchase these mines and stuff that will give you more gems that stay in front of you, so they're like permanent gems that you have in front of you. And then as you get more and more of these permanent gems on these cards, you then can get more powerful cards, and some of the more powerful cards are going to start having prestige points built in. If you collect a certain number of each color, then you'll attract nobles who also have prestige points. First person to 15 wins the game. Number 3 is Pandemic. So Pandemic Legacy at number 5, Pandemic at number 3, Pandemic 53 plays, number 8 on my hours played list. This is really the cooperative game that really brought cooperative games into the limelight. I think this is what really brought them out, and as I understand it, I wasn't around when Pandemic really came out, but I don't think it made a big splash, but slowly, it's a slow burn, and now it is without a doubt one of the most successful board games of all time. You are a 4-player game. You are all members of kind of a CDC type entity trying to fight these 4 diseases that are rampaging through the world. And if you only need to cure them, eradicating them is helpful, but curing them is the key. Find all 4 cures, you win the game. Number 2 is Kingdom Death Monster with 58 plays, and this was number 1 on my hours played list. Kingdom Death Monster is what you see right here. I'm in the middle of a campaign right now, and I'm farther than I've ever gotten before. This is a game where right now I'm in the middle of the civilization portion of the game, where you're building your settlement. You are finding these technologies. Your survivors get these fighting arts. They get these disorders that change the way they think and everything from some of the terrible stuff they see. This is you are humans theoretically in this horrific, nightmarish landscape. No light ever. No sunlight, I should say. You only have these lanterns that are somehow tied to your soul. You're not really sure how that's going on. The story slowly reveals itself through random events and through fighting monsters. And you build the settlement and increase your population and build these different buildings to help you create more equipment to help you get through everything. That's Kingdom Death Monster. Number 1 is Star Realms. 71 plays. Number 12 on my hours played list. 2-player. I know I can play more than 2 players. It's a 2-player game. 2 players, pure deck building game. 5 cards in the middle of the table, a deck of cards, and you each start with 10 cards, I think, in your deck, and you draw 5 at a time, and you buy cards from the middle, and you attack the other player, and you're trying to take down the other player's reputation in the galaxy. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Influence, maybe. And there's 4 different factions. The blue faction heals you. The yellow faction makes them discard. The green faction deals massive damage. The red faction helps you cull your deck. And that is my time. But Star Realms, it comes in a small little box like this. It is very transportable, easy to teach, and I highly, highly recommend Star Realms for anybody who is looking to get into a deck building game that is, but also wants to get some other people into it as well who maybe aren't into the hobby very much. But even if you are into the hobby, when you really dig down into this game, it has so much strategy. There's an entire podcast dedicated just to Star Realms. So that is my number 1. Thanks for watching my list. A few stats real quick for you, just so you know. I put these at the beginning of the video sometimes, but I decided to do it at the end of the video this time. 1,480 total plays since I started keeping track in April 2012 until December 31st, 2019, which is when this list was made. I have 188 games total that I've played, so 1,480 games or plays of 180 games, and a total amount of time of 1,188 hours played so far. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this list. If you did, check the description below for ways to purchase most of the games that you saw on this list. You can also support the channel in various other ways. Be sure to check out Board Game Co. If you do, click on the link in the description below. Board Game Co. has also started publishing videos on their own channel, and I'm hosting a few of their videos here on this channel as well. And don't forget to enter the contest to get your chance. I can't talk. Sorry, it is early in the morning. To get your chance to win those 9 games. And again, I'm not gonna tell you what they are, but I promise there's a couple good ones in there, so it's probably worth it. You might even like the ones I don't like. Be sure to come back, check out more videos. I've got another top list coming out soon. My top games from 2019 that I did not get to play. And until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.